Hey bookworms! We are going to do our weekly whimsy today. So I have my daffodils already traced on, and then I've got my watercolor, and then I've got my ink pen, my dip ink pen ready up here, and I'm going to use one of my inks. Feel free to use whatever you want. You can use like a micron or something, a pen, whatever, Sharpie, to trace after or before. But I thought it'd be fun. I'm trying to use some of the, I want to get used to using ink a little more. So, I have just a couple of the more, like I have, I think, a pink and then like a fuchsia or something. Actually, let me look. I have the pink pulled out. Yeah, I've got like a reddish and a pink. So anyway, I've got my fuchsia color. My colors were similar that I gave to myself. So, I'm going to use the pink. I think it would be interesting because I'm going to do like oranges and yellows with this. And I think it might be an interesting contrast. So let's see how that works. I don't know. So I'm going to use my water pen that came with my kit. Oops, it's dirty. I didn't realize I didn't clean it off last time. All right, so I'm cleaning off my water pen. There we go. All right, and then I'm going to start off with trying to decide what I want to do. I think I want to do just like a quick backwash or background wash here. And just make everything sort of sunny and yellow. So she's talking about how bright and sunny the moor is and how everything's starting to come alive. And so then I have all the first of the flowers that usually pop up in the spring, if you haven't noticed. So we had like the snowdrops, the daffodils, and the tulips. So our spring awakening is sort of what the theme is for the paintings with the flowers. Okay. I'm not sure if I want to do more than that or not. Let's see. Let's go a little bit. Actually, you know what? I'm going to cover the whole page. Why not? Just like a good light yellow wash all over. And then I'm going to hit it with my heat gun here in a second. Okay, and then my heat gun. Pretty happy with how this paper works when it dries out. I feel like it does a pretty good job. Okay. So I've got my yellow all over. I'm going to use a lot of these. Hopefully you guys, can you see that in the video? Let me check. Yeah, so like a lot of these orangey, reddish colors. I might throw some pink in there. So that we've got sort of almost like a monochromatic thing going on. So I'm just hitting the tips of the daffodil there. And all my daffodils have been gone for a while. There's some of the greenery's left up, and that's about it. Alright, so then I'm going to go in with the orange. You can see I'm not being like real careful with it. Okay. And I'm going to go back in with this yellow that I used for the background color and just use a little bit heavier in some of these areas to blend some of those colors I've already got on here. But instead of using it watered down, I'm going to use it more pigmented. Cool. All right, I like that. I'm going to use some of this really dark orange, and I'm going to just barely touch the outsides of the trumpet part of the flower. I like that. Okay, I'm going to clean my brush off a little bit and then squeeze some of my water out so I can blend that a little more. Cute. Okay. I'm going to go back to this color, add a little more, maybe. Is that giving me enough depth? Let's go to this one. And a little more. Yeah, there we go. My next orange up. I wanted a little bit more depth in those flower petals there. Okay, ooh, I like that. All right, now my ink color is like a fuchsia, so somewhere down in this area. So I'm going to use a little bit of that, and I'm going to touch on the inside of the flower there. The very depth in there. I'm going to clean my brush off, just wiping it, and then there we go. Okay, so now for my petals and such, trying to decide. I think I'm going to do more like a yellow-green since I've got like the yellows and oranges going on. And then this one here. You can see I'm pressing down harder as I go down the leaf there, just to give me more thickness on my stroke. There we go. All right, I like that. So now this is the point. Let's see how this fuchsia thing goes. I'm not sure if I'll love it or hate it, but I'm gonna try it. All right, so I've got my fuchsia pinkish reddish color for my ink. You know what? I almost forgot. This will bleed if it's still wet, so let's hit this real quick. Okay. I already really like that. That's cute. All right, I've got my little dip pen holder there. Okay, so let's dip in. And it's like a lot thicker than I was expecting. Is it still bleeding? I don't know. I'm just putting too much pressure, I think. It's all right. I like it so far. We'll keep going, see how it ends up. All right. It'll be neat at the end. It'll be nice and vibrant, that's for sure. It is really fun to work with, I'll give it that. I have a good time with the ink. Alright, so this point I want it to be like heavier, right? I want a thicker. There we go. The stems to thicken up. Now everyone's got a little bit different look to theirs if they're going to be using their ink, because it was fun. Everybody got sort of their own thing. Alright, so I should go back up here so I don't make a mess with the ink with my hand. I like the wildness of the ink. So I don't know what it's going to do. Even wilder than watercolor. Sometimes watercolor is pretty hard to get used to too, just because of it'll move in ways you don't necessarily think about because of the, you know, especially if you're working on wet paper, which is part of the beauty of it, but you never know. Okay, so there is the next flower. Okay, and then I'm going to add maybe, not picking any up. There we go. I like it. That's a cool look. I am happy with that. All right, so I put my cap back on here because the ink makes me nervous. I think I'm pretty happy with just that. I really like the way that looks. Sort of a neat contrast there. All right, let me pull it up so you guys can see. So it's like a pinkish red color I've got going. It looks neat with the yellow and the green. All right, well that was a fun one and easy, nothing too crazy. I hope you guys enjoyed this one. I am looking forward to seeing yours. Don't feel like you have to use the ink. If your color's not what you're wanting, you could definitely still use like an art pen. But have fun with it, guys. Try something new. All right, I'll see y'all soon.